And here we are, and we are live. Welcome back, everybody, to episode 243 of Behind the Tool Belt. Thank you for joining us on this Wednesday edition. Today, we have another special guest. Stay tuned, and we will be back after our short intro from our sponsors.
GC Packer. Roofing, siding, windows, gutter, solar. Roofing, siding, windows, gutter, solar. GC Packer.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Behind the Tool Belt, episode 243. Today, we have another fantastic guest, the GOAT of Door to Door, Mr. Coach, Mr. Trainer, Adam Bensman. My man, how are you?
Dude, Ty, it's good to be here, man. Last we did this, gosh, I don't remember, but it's been too long. And a lot has changed, I think, since then. So
yeah, for both of us.
Yeah.
For both of us. So you've come out with a new book that I actually, when it came out, super excited.
Yeah.
Bought, I don't know how many copies. And I was just thinking this morning, I need to re-up. It's giving me goosebumps because just to have the honor and the privilege to have this opportunity with you right now, and it's thrilling for me. It really is, because you have done so many wonderful things for the industry that we both are so passionate and love, and to know that I know you and have access to you, not anytime that I want, but the privilege to have you on the show, man. It's an honor. I mean, it really is. And thank you for coming on. I know our team here is super stoked. I sent out a group chat last night or one day this week and was like, hey, Adam's going to come on the show. And I know Brian, one of our sales managers, actually reached out to you about coming on the show. And he was kind of like, man, I hope you're not mad at me. But, I reached out to Adam and, asked him if he'd come on the show. And he showed me your response. Like I actually have been on the show before. And so I was like, why not? A great time to have you come back on, because I feel like you're in a really good place. You got the Roofing and Solar Reform Alliance going on right now. You recently launched your book that has become an award-winning, book. And now, at least for our team, has become a staple, a go-to, basic text for our team to go back to and study and learn and listen. And anybody new that comes in gets it's part of our protocol now, is the survival guide. It's almost as important as the GAF's, we call it the Bible, the field guide, it's part of our curriculum of training our people. But now you got the Roofing and Solar Reform Alliance, which I want to definitely talk about. You're the Roof Strategist, most known for being the Roof Strategist. And I secretly, not even secretly, watch most of your videos. I'm on your email list, so I click on the link, I watch all that stuff, the free content that you throw out there. So anyhow, we don't have to get too far down in the rabbit hole of like where and how and you became the roofing strategist. But I think more importantly right now, like, where are you at now? What part of your life and what are you digging and what are you not digging?
Yeah. First of all, thank you. And by the way, the comments on the book bring a lot of joy. It's so wild doing that, putting your life out there, and it's very rewarding to see it making an impact. But yeah, what am I driving on? What am I not? Man, I've had this big shift in both all the things combined, my passion, my energy, my time. So all the focus has been into my community and making a transition from a transaction business model, selling my training system, to a relationship business model, working with people to help great roofing companies make a bigger impact together. It has been awesome. So that's what I'm driving on. And it's been really fun to just put blinders on and say no to everything else. Like, for most people may or may not have known this, but I took a sabbatical from speaking. I was on the road all the time. And I said, I'm not taking on anymore for the remainder of the year. And it's been really amazing to invest in my community and developing the sales tools that are being released for our members and doing live training sessions and working with owners and working with leaders. So what I haven't been jiving on is living on the road. What I've been jiving on is pouring everything that I can into this, and then building our team to create amazing support and to free me up to do the work that brings me the most fulfillment, and as a byproduct has the biggest impact on the people I serve.
Amen to that. And you are making a huge impact. So let's talk a little bit. You said, the traveling, I mean, that takes its toll on everybody. I mean, I think we can all relate to that. And I think from the outside looking in, it doesn't seem to be that grueling, but when you're jumping from, airport to airport with layover to layover to convention center, stage to stage or whatever, it takes a toll on the human mind. And body, and there's so many other things that suffer your family and you personally, mentally, physically, and the toll that it just takes on a human being. So, woe is me, I guess. But so you decided to take a sabbatical. What was that pivoting point? What was that thing where you just saw this huge gap? Like, hey, we're going to create this roofing and solar reform. I'm going to put the blinders on. Like, what was that? What happened? Was there something on the road that changed your mind or what?
It was a lot. It was a combination of things that came to a head, and they came to a head at 1 a.m. I was out east. I don't remember what city I was in. It was before an Owens Corning event. And all this stuff was stacking up for me. One, I started to get messages from people that were using my sales system. It was often sales reps. And I didn't hear good things. Sales reps weren't getting paid. Homeowners weren't getting taken care of. Even one situation, liens were getting placed. The same drill. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, man, I wish there was something I could do. My old model is you bought my thing, you had my thing. And like so that was weighing on me. Second thing that was weighing on me is I felt like I just spent all my time selling my stuff. And like, I know I'm a sales trainer, but what's funny is like, if you said, what would you do all day that would bring you the most fulfillment? It would be creating content. I mean, this book, Rick Rubin's book, The Creative Act, is like my current, this changes, as I'm sure we all know who get into books. Like, if I could just stay in my creative lane where I produce amazing content for my people, that's what I would do all day, teach. And I ended up having to spend all this time on like sell. And I didn't get to work with people. And so I wanted to make this transition of like, man, I want to get in the trenches and do the work and really create community. And I know as a business owner, I get lonely, man. Like, who do you talk to about the stuff you're going through? And that there's other people that are going through the same thing and have solved the same problems. And I know that there hasn't been the type of community. There's plenty of communities out there. But there hasn't been the type that's like, we're all in this together with shared value to come in and peel back the curtains of what's working and what's not. And then the final piece was my mission. I haven't shared this publicly, but I'm starting to now. By the way, thanks to Eric Oberempt, who's like, dude, you got to do it. So anyway, there's lots of things I'm sharing more of. One of which I remember I wrote down on my whiteboard in my office. Here's my new office, or newer office. I have this whiteboard next to me, which I just cleared. But anyway, it's usually full of things. And I wrote on there, when we first started the channel, we'll become the number one most followed sales training in the industry, which I thought was a moonshot. And then I had my tagline, like, to help you and your team smash your income goal and give every customer an amazing experience. And then I was like, well, we did it. We became the number one most followed. And then, helping people smash their income goal and give every customer's amazing experience is a big mission. But then I wanted to go bigger. So I was like, how do I create a thing that allows us to make an impact on homeowners directly? And this name, the Reform Alliance, popped in my head at 1 a.m. By 8 a.m., it was 8 a.m. and for the team's time. The next morning, before I spoke, I called an emergency team meeting. And I was like, guys, I have this idea. We're going to completely reinvent how we do business. And they said, let's do it. Fast forward 3 months from that point, we launched an entirely new brand, a consumer-facing website, our private community app, and rebuilt everything, and then did our final sales push for our old program. Had the best month in the history of our business, and then the next month closed it down because I'm all in. We still have people reach, can I get your program? But like, you can join. And if it is application only, so not everyone's approved, but you can apply to join. And it's upset some folks, but I get it. Can't make everybody happy. But yeah, that's what changed, man. And it was really, some people tell me it was the dumbest thing that you could ever do is take the business that had the best month ever and then close it. And to me, it was the proudest moment because I went all in on what I believe in and making a difference. And it's been wild. You know, we're seeing homeowners that I have literally a video interview. I went to a contractor who's part of RSRA who earned a customer, and they chose them largely in part because their affiliation with RSRA. And you know why they chose them, even though they were more expensive. All of the things that we deal with as a contractor as an objection, they ended up choosing him. And I've had a couple of folks who are dealing with shady contractors that found us online or reaching out to us for help. We have a written testimonials from homeowners like, hey, I got your direct mail, or excuse me, your direct letter in the mail, and I chose you because you're a member of RSRA. We just referred a couple of our members because they reached out and said, hey, do you have anyone in this area? So, and by the way, we're not a lead gen source. I just want that to be clear. Like, that's not the purpose of it. The point is we're catching the attention of homeowners. And this was born March 1st, you know? So with what we've done to date, like it's exciting. So yeah, all of that was the combination of things that came to a head and just resulted in a huge pivot to how I wish to continue serving our community.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. Very bold move. But I think as an entrepreneur, as a visionary, all those, you know, fancy words with us, you know, sometimes I think once we get so fixated in our heart and our soul, we just feel like, you know, this is the way, this is the direction, this is, and if it sounds like to me, like, there's a core, right? We have core values. We have personal, professional core values. It really sounds like you really just wanted to solidify and galvanize like that core. Like, let's get back to the basics here. Like, the whole point of why I wanted to do this was to have an impact. Great. Yep. We did the moonshot. We became the number one, but it, you know, and maybe somewhere you started to lose yourself in the hubbub and all the glitz and the glam and the camera and stuff like that. And it's like, you know what, like I've kind of left the roots, because I've done it to myself where it's kind of like I almost forget what I was chasing.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. You know, and then you kind of wake up 1 o'clock in the morning and you're like, what are we doing? It's like, I got this idea. Let's get back to our roots. This is our core. Let's have an impact on the community, even on a deeper level, not such a superficial, how many followers, how many likes, how many viewers, although you are impacting people. But I think, at least for me, I you know, like it's no different than the podcast. Not that this is even at the level that you're at. You know, I got to keep in mind, like, this has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not doing this. I don't get paid to do this. You know, I just, this is for you and our listeners and viewers, and what they are going to gain from this. And when that starts to happen, miracles start to happen when you gain selfless interest in other things and other people. And it sounds to me like that you had that moment of clarity and that epiphany, like, listen, our goal is now this. Very bold move, but it sounds like it is. I see, it doesn't even sound, I can see that you're making a difference, and I can see the impact. I can see the light in your eye, like the sparkle and the glow. Like, you have this glow, like, I'm on a mission. We're doing good. We're having impact on the industry. And quite frankly, you're changing, revolutionizing the industry, and one of not so many trailblazers that are doing it the right way for the right reasons. And that's why you're so successful. The silver bullet is giving, right? First and foremost, all the free content that you have always put out there. Like, I don't even think this is what's pathetic is that nobody would probably have to sign up for your programs, Adam, because of the free content and the good stuff that you put out there. If they just follow you long enough, they're going to improve their game. Now, granted, what you do, and that's where the rewards kind of come into play. Like, you've done such a good job, and the impact that you're having, and it's on, at some point in time, things start to come to fruition financially, success, you know, and that's kind of where you're at right now. But what I love about it is, it's like, you know, Southwest Airline, they're core. Okay. I study Southwest Airline. I just really dig the culture that they have over, the fun that they're having and stuff like that. They've just recently, they're getting ready to change some things on how they board people. You're actually going to be able to select where you can sit. Okay. Now, this will work if they don't remove, if it's not for their core purposes of like what it used to be, affordable and fast, like onboarding, getting you there on time. And they really believe that everybody should be able to afford to fly. Right. And that's why it's kind of like a first come, first serve, all seats, free bags, all the stuff. Like they changed the industry, especially by giving free first 2 bags up to 50 pounds. Not many other airplane companies do that. So they're getting ready to change, like the first few seats or whatever it is, you're going to get more space. And as long as I guess as long as they don't know or change and deviate from their core of like why they got started and why they continue to do and change their culture where it becomes confusing for those that work for them. Like when someone comes up and says, hey, I want to change my seat because now they're offering that thing, and where it takes the fun out of working there, as long as it doesn't change that. And it sounds to me like you, if anything, you solidified the core of what it is that you did, but you really been able to level up what it was that you were doing to have an impact, not just on the industry, but I love how you mentioned the homeowner. You know, that by getting the certification from the Reform Alliance, like that means something. There's an application you have to fill out. You got to get vetted. It actually means something. It's not just like a paper play type of thing. So I love what it is that you're doing. I can't express that enough. So like, what's your next move now? Where do you go from here?
You know, it's funny. It actually came next week. So we're adding another business service that I'll be announcing by probably mid-October. That I'm very, very excited about. It's something I've been wanting to get involved in for a long time.
Okay.
The reason I'm on my heels is like, I didn't expect this question, and we're in the middle of logo design right now. So I can't share too much, but what I will say is this, to add to what you've said, which kind of ties into this new thing I'm doing. I doubled down on my values is really what it comes down to. And I've received some slack. I get people that are upset that I change and they say that it's too expensive. And the way that I respond is this. I've put together an organization that being membership only and application only means that we're in the trenches together. And I don't want someone who's a budget-minded person who's looking for a transaction. You're not a good fit. I believe our rates are incredibly affordable, starting at $9.97 a month. And if people say it's too expensive, I know that this might be a unpopular opinion, but my opinion is you don't yet have a roofing company. And that's okay. Use my free content. My goal is to help you make so much money that you want to grow into joining this thing. And people say you're an a-hole, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm not. If you don't have $1,000 a month, you don't have a roofing business. Because if you don't have $1,000 a month, my next question, how are you making payroll? My next question is, how are you taking care of your customer when things go wrong? Because $1,000 doesn't even cover the 4 tires you got to buy for the BMW that caught one nail. And if you haven't had that happen, you don't have enough experience. So part of this is to keep the wrong people out. In fact, I've sadly had to let go a member who's a deep relationship of mine because I discovered the financial situation they were in. And I knew that if they were to go under, they would take down all the homeowners whose deposit checks they had. And I am not perfect, and we are not perfect. I'm working to get better every day. You know, we do our damnedest. You know, will stuff slip between the cracks? Yes, but through self-policing and customer complaints or submissions, you know, we do the very, very best we can. But at any rate, my goal in what we're doing is to be able to give even more, because I'm actually working, and I haven't said this publicly yet. Although my sales training is available exclusively to members, it's getting evolved too, because I'm teaching people not only how to sell, but how to sell as a member of our SRA. And we're developing tools that our members can use, both daily sales tools, because people can say they're better and different every day. And I shouldn't say every, but probably every roofing company says we're better, we're different, we have a better service, better product, better warranty. But then the next guy's saying we're better, we're different, we have a better service, better product, better warranty. But the minute that you just show up and say, hey, we're a member of RSRA, less than 1% of contractors are in there. And it's actually less than, I think it's like 0.05%. I have to double check our numbers against 100,000. But the point is, if it's few hundred companies working together, that is a very small amount. And then you can say, hey, we've all taken this pledge. And by the way, here's consumer resources. I have a guide that's on the website. Anyone can see it. It's on rsra.org. That's called Sniff Out the Scum, the Insider's Guide to Choosing the Right Roofing and Solar Contractor. So now our people have the ability to use all this with that endorsement. So now we're the ones saying you're better and you're different, not you saying we're better and we're different. So anyway, to tie back to what's coming next is my goal, if you look at what I do as a business, is to help people from all walks of life, from the salesperson who doesn't even know they want to get into roofing yet, to the new salesperson, to the seasoned veteran, to the owner, to the guy that just left because his company screwed him and now he's doing his own thing, is to be the resource that you can turn to, that I can give away so much, because the sales training is this much of what I do. I'm reinventing who we are, what we're known for. And in our hedgehog concept, the thing that makes RSRA unique is the community, that our members peel back the curtains and share everything. They're flying to each other's offices. You can ask any question from in confidentiality in an open round table, just to leaders, just to owners, join calls, get in small cohorts and develop deep relationships that you get to get coached through the decisions on the day-to-day and avoid those pitfalls. So my mission is I'm going to start giving even more away, because you can join me. And you're right. Like, if you're just looking for just sales training, stick with the stuff you got on YouTube. You'll do great. Now, there is a whole lot more, and you get a full system, and no, they're not identical. I get that a lot. The difference is having a start to finish turnkey model that you can plug people into and get them trained up in 9.5 hours, and all the marketing material that you get. But besides the point, my goal is to make people so much money. They say, hey, I want to grow alongside you, then join us in the trenches, and then work alongside not just me, not just the members, but Deshaun Bryant, Jim Aline, John Cenac, Cody Landels, myself, and then again, the other folks that are contributing. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is helping people elevate their journey. And I'll just share that for now, and doing something that I think the industry is in great need of. And I'm very excited to announce it. So it'll come soon. I wasn't prepared. I wasn't prepared for it, man.
That's the problem, or the good problem, I guess, of going live. We're not edited. This is love. This is raw, live, and cut. Yeah, and I love it. I'm excited. I'm excited for you. I can see the enthusiasm. We were talking a little bit about people that are new to the industry and things like that. What advice would you give somebody that is thinking or getting ready to start a career in the roofing industry? What advice would you give? Man.
So this is a good question. I've done quite a few videos on my YouTube channel on advice for new sales reps. Is it the good, the bad, the ugly? What I wish I knew when I got started. So I have so much advice that it's hard to pinpoint, like, this is the golden thing. But if I were to grab someone that's like considering, let's look at the people that are considering a job and the people that just got started. If you're considering a job, the answer is, this industry is stupid simple, but it is not easy. And there's a reason that most people quit, and it's because they don't have the mental fortitude to stick through the unpleasantries that you are required to face from the outside, from the lack of validation, because you'll be working for days and getting nothing. So many people quit, and from having to face yourself. And that's the scariest demon for most people, is the requirement in this career, which I've not found in any other industry or any other career path, is your baggage that you bring from home comes to work. Your childhood issues, trauma, blockages come to work. And if you're not willing to lean into those, because you have to show up when things suck, you have to show up when you got in a huge fight with your spouse or significant other, you have to show up when you just found out that your family member has cancer or your kid's going through some things, and you got to be there when the homeowner says, how are you? And you're like, hey, everything's great, when you're dying inside. And that level of discomfort is far more uncomfortable than bad working conditions physically. And one of my favorite, I heard this old fable years ago. I don't know who to give credit to for this, and I don't know if it's true, but the fable tells a great story. And it's a roofing company ran an ad saying, earn $200,000 a year shoveling chicken poop. So they get all these applicants that come in, they sit at the table and say, hey, great, thanks for coming in to learn about all the money you can make in our company. I just want to start some things off. I have good news for you. you don't need to shovel chicken poop. All you need to do is go knock doors, and everyone gets up and runs off. And the analogy there is that so many people would be more willing to deal with physically disgusting conditions like shoveling chicken poop than dealing with rejection in themselves, their own inner demons, showing up at a stranger's house, knocking on a door. Even if you're in retail and you have set appointments and you're showing up, there's still the level of rejection and a level of grit that you need to survive in this field. And for those of you that are thinking of it or that are new in it, like, if you want uncommon results, which in this case, let's call it an income, because no one comes into roofing sales for the prestige. No one comes in there so they can go sit at the bar. What do you do? I'm in roofing sales. Like, that's not why we do it, right? We do it because the lifestyle it creates. So if you want uncommon results, you got to do uncommon things. And it's uncommon because people aren't willing to do it. But if you can learn to turn that into a game, because it's personal development in disguise, you have the ability to change your life. And it doesn't matter where you came from, whether you just got out of prison, whether you just got sober, whether you finished high school or not, whether you have any sales experience, or whether you know what a shingle is. You can do this. You can learn this business, and you can do it in under a year. And the learning curve is short, and the earning potential is stupid. And if you believe in yourself and you have people around you that believe in you, there's no reason you can't make it happen.
Man, so good. So good on many different levels. Your entire spiel there. I mean, I love how you said you always have to suit up and show up, right? And that goes into the old, fable, is that, there's never usually any work related issues. It's a personal issue brought to work with you. And it's so true. I mean, on any level, at any level, wherever you're at, whether you're the boss, the manager, the sales rep, you mentally have to suit up and show up, which leads me to a question from Kevin, who's on our team. He's asking me right now, is like, do you have a pre-game routine when you're in the car before you go knock a door?
Yeah, man, mindset's important. So the answer is, I have experimented with a lot, and I don't think it's appropriate for me to say this is the way. So there are times that what I need is motivation, and I'm going to listen to pump up music. And that'll change, by the way. I go through phases where it's like, I'm listening to rap. By the way, it's so funny when I'm like at my events, I'll play rap. You're like, I didn't expect you to listen to this. I'm like, oh, I freaking love gangster rap. And I'll listen to metal, and then I'll listen to electronica. So anything that kind of amps me up. Other times, what helps me is actually breathing techniques. If you haven't read the book Breathe, I don't think that one's on this bookshelf behind me. Breathe by James Nestor. Breathing techniques are important to just center yourself. I mean, it's a form of meditation, and sometimes you just need to like zen out, and just be present, ready to go. So that's a powerful technique that you can play with. And the other one is reciting your goals and your why. And I, to this day, like, there's times I wake up and I'm, man, if I'm not doing my creative work, I get grumpy. My wife teases me because she says I'm like Goldilocks. I want everything to be perfect. I'm like, yeah, and what's so bad about that? So it's like, man, if I can't do my creative work and like build things and create new content and enhance our program for our members, I get grumpy because like I'm not moving in my head, moving forward. And there's days like that. There's weeks like that. But what I do is I look through my goals and why I'm doing this as a reminder that it's not all glory and it's not all fun. So remembering that why. And I'll give you one last example. It was Kevin, right?
Yep.
That asked. So Kevin, there was a sales rep. I don't remember his name. I share his story in my book. He came up to me after a training event in Minneapolis. And he said, his voice was shaky, almost in tears. He's like, how do you get the courage to go knock doors? And I said, man, why are you doing this? And he says, well, I want to be able to help my mom out. So he's a young kid. And I said, what were you doing before? And he was a gas station clerk. No dad in the picture, living with mom. Both of them are contributing to the household. And he says, it's really to help. I want to be able to support my mom and I want to make a difference. I said, here's what I want you to do. Next time you pull up in a neighborhood, I want you to visualize your mom outside the window saying, come on, honey, you can do this. Do it for me. Even saying that now, like, makes me want to tear up. Yeah, and I'm like, imagine showing up. No one gives a shit if you made money today, man. What are you doing it for? What's the reason? Mm-hmm. And if it's because your mom and you're supporting her, like, imagine her Now you're knocking doors for her, not yourself. And it's much easier to do selfless things when you don't want to. It's a practice that I have. When I'm feeling absorbed in my own pity party, I try to get out of my head and do something nice for somebody.
Yeah.
Same thing with knocking doors. So anyway, Kevin, I hope that answers it. And if it doesn't, fire away with more.
No, I love that. That was a great response. And, and you were talking earlier too, this isn't, glamorous and not a lot of people want to brag, I'm a door-to-door salesman or I'm in the roofing industry. And I'm proud of it. I'm proud of the fact that I'm in the roofing industry. I'm grateful that the roofing industry has found me. It has been our vehicle. And honestly, at this point in time, it wouldn't matter if we were selling tires. Mm-hmm. Getting back to the kind of the core thing here is that it has allowed us to be the vehicle to impact other people's lives.
Yeah.
But what's cool about it, it's not easy, right? And the metaphor here is that, nothing is easy if it's worthwhile and is going to create a positive impact on your life, right? Like whether it's dieting, whether it's working out, all of this is very uncomfortable. So what it has done for me and anyone else that has been successful in the roofing industry, door to door, sales aspect of things is that it's very uncomfortable and can be very uncomfortable, but it will push you outside your comfort zone, which is what we all need, is that nudge outside of our comfort zone. And nothing good comes out of sitting on the couch. Right. But and it's so simple. Just go knock 100 doors to get 10 leads. You know what I mean? Or whatever the numbers are, the numbers change. And it really depends on if there was a recent storm or if you're doing it for retail, the figures and the numbers change. But what I love about this industry, anybody can do it. Anyone can do it. You just got to have the motivation, the courage, and surrounding yourself around the right people that will help motivate you to do it. If you have a team of like-minded salespeople that are out doing it and you see that they're successful and they're having fun with it, like that's the thing I think we can't forget, even though we'll get rejection after rejection after rejection, but we have some sales guys that are pretty new at this and pretty young, but I see them having fun with this. It's almost like a game.
It has to be.
Yeah. So let's talk about the game of, and how you get over, the rejection aspect of it. Like, especially like if you're on fire and it seems like you're doing good, you're getting those dopamine hits, but then when you crash from that and you haven't closed the deal, like how do you get through that depression portion of it?
Yeah, this is a good conversation. It's timely. I'm checking my phone because there's I'm part of this mastermind group, and I was in the portal here. There's a gentleman named Ned Hollowell. He is a psychiatrist, New York Times bestselling author, and one of the leading experts in ADHD. By the way, he was a graduate of Harvard, and he teaches entrepreneurs how to cope with ADD, because most of us have it. As by the way, salespeople are an entrepreneur. Salespeople also frequently have ADD. Now, I'm not a doctor. I'm not diagnosing anybody, but I think that anyone who's tuning into this is probably like, yeah, that's me. And the epiphany I had in our internal team chat at RSRA, we have a Slack channel and it's called Daily Motivation. So we have a culture where we're investing in ourselves. And as Evan Carmichael, who's also a member of the mastermind I'm part of, I like what he says in his videos. He says, you need to feed your brain a daily diet of positivity. I was like, man, I never thought of it like feeding your brain, like the language that Evan Carmichael used, feeding your brain a daily diet of positivity. I go to his YouTube channel for a lot of positivity as well. And I recommend other people do too. And with this daily positivity, it's as Brian Tracy calls it, it's the rudder of the day. It's how you start your day that makes a huge difference. So that's number one. Number two, tying back into the Ned Holloway piece I screwed up pronouncing his name. Hollowell. No, yeah, I was right. The epiphany that I had when I was watching this presentation he gave was that folks with ADD look for a challenge because it's not boring, but we have to find the right kind of challenge. So you get a choice, and I share this in my book. to do what you're passionate about, which likely won't work and lead you to a dead end, which it did for me, or you can choose to be passionate about what you do. And that's what I've done, is made the choice to be passionate about what I do. So I think it's a combination of a lot of things. Of one, feeding your brain a daily diet of positivity. Okay. Number two, having a deep why, because a why will carry you through things. If you want a book recommendation on that, read Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning. That is, in my opinion, like, if you want meaning in your life, read that one book. You don't need anything else. Number three is latching onto this challenge, as you just put it, Ty, as a game. Because with folks that struggle with ADD, games, you're never going to win all the time. You're going to have setbacks. So when I screw up, I just think to myself, oh, well, shit, I just learned a way that doesn't work, and then you go on to the next one, and you can't win it all. But when you start to make it a game, we need to track things. So if you can make it a game to say, hey, for every X number of doors I knock, I get X number of inspections. What's your next win? Make that number better, right? Hey, today I knocked 60 doors. Do better tomorrow. Knock 100. So when you can start measuring things, that allows you, just like, man, I nerd out when I get into stuff. My whole family makes fun of me because I don't dip the toe in the water in anything that I do. Maybe that's because maybe that's the addict in me, right? Like, it's like, I don't dabble. I'm in, right? It's why I'm sober. But anyway, when you can just go all in and turn the daily chores into daily games, then you're creating a dopamine hit without requiring external validation from someone else to give it to you.
Wow. I love that. And you're right. I was just having a conversation with my daughter. I think it was on Sunday, actually Monday. Monday was my birthday. So happy birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm 38. I actually just celebrated my 10th, 38th birthday. So, but I was telling her about, the content that I absorb on a regular basis of, I get to choose what that content is. And I choose to listen to, positive podcast. I listen to books nonstop. Not that I don't listen to music. Music is a big part of, of me finding centerment, getting pumped up, whatever. It's definitely a mood elevator for me today. I use music a lot for that, but I get the choice to educate myself on very specific things and the things that I want to listen to. I listen to, micro media outlets. I don't listen to big, news media outlets and stuff like that. I have to stay out of that, and I think a lot of people don't understand that they actually have a choice. Like, you can shut the TV off and pull a podcast up.
Yeah.
And take in the content. And after a while, I don't notice it right away, but the behaviors. I read a book every morning, and it's called The Daily Dad. It's by Ryan Holiday. And I caught myself after a year of reading this book, and I'll continuously read it. There's two books I read every single morning before I start my day. One's called Daily Reflections. And the other one is The Daily Dad by Ryan Holiday. And I caught myself, I took my son fishing last week, and I caught myself stopping myself before I spoke. And there was a lesson to be learned here. It was one, either me acted very poorly or act in a way where we both could learn from something. And it just, after a while of me filling myself with this positive affirmational content that I'm taking, it finally is like starting to work me, and I caught myself, and it was a moment where it was like, I actually was proud of him, watching him figure out how to do something, opposed to me scolding him and grabbing it. Let me do it. I'll do it for you, kind of thing. It was just more like, just let him go through the process of it. Right. Yeah. But because of listening to positive, content and reading things and listening to things, it eventually, or let's think about the opposite. If I'm continuously listening to things that just aren't very conducive or very unhealthy for my spirit, for my soul, for my mentality, if I'm eating poorly continuously, it's going to start reflecting. I'm going to start gaining weight. I'm going to start feeling lackadaisy. My motivation won't be there. But so I think we've all got to have experienced that over the years. But I've chosen to read books like The Survival Guide. right? I want to get better at this. I want to learn how to, sell in a professional manner. I want my team to learn how. So I'm sharing those things with my daughter today. She just got a real estate license. She just got, both of her tests. And I shared with her Rich Dad, Poor Dad several months ago, because I know she's starting to take interest in real estate. And so have I. We've been in the real estate industry since 2005. I think I bought my first rental property. So I've been in the real estate game for several years here, and I see her taking interest in it. So I wanted to share with her some of the things that I've picked up. And I told her about, like, just be cautious of like what you're listening, the content that you're taking in, what you're absorbing. What atmosphere, those people that you're surrounding yourself with, are they leveling you up? Are they pulling you down? I hope I'm not boring you.
No, you're not. This is the coffee crash happening. It's not you. I apologize.
I'm just kidding. It'll be me yawning next. But, it's just funny because I don't think we actually realize that our outside environments can affect us internally, and not to go down that rabbit hole. Anyhow, I love what you were saying, those positive affirmations to try to get those little dopamine hits, because as a recovering addict myself, I need affirmation. I need those dopamine hits. I need that encouragement. I need that motivation. So this leads me to my other question. After I'm in the industry for a while and I've knocked thousands upon thousands of doors, how do I keep myself or prevent myself from getting burnt out?
Yeah, man, this is something we could probably talk about for hours. There is part of me that feels like a hypocrite sharing this, because I have burned out probably 5 times, and burnout was the main reason I left the industry the first time. And that was for me. I was the chief operating officer of a company with offices in 5 states, 6 different cities. And I literally purchased my home next to where I moved our office. So our office in the Madison metro area was in Wanakee, for anyone who knows the area. And I was like, man, I got to drive all around the lakes, 45 minutes. I'm running the office. Is it cool? I moved it. I got set up. I purchased a house a mile and a half, 2 miles, something like that from the office. And then I realized, I'm like, wait a minute, we could run I realized that all of our offices were run like fragmented. They weren't consistent. And I was like, we got to corporatize our process. We don't need a separate office manager. We can run through one location. We can do all routing of phones, all dispatch, everything. And this was early when CRMs were just starting to enter the market, which I know this was like common knowledge now, but it wasn't then. And our corporate office was an hour and 45 minutes from me, which meant I had an hour and 45-minute commute to work every morning. Wow. And then hour and 45-minute back, floating the whole state. And then also working in Illinois in our office there, also working in Indiana, also commuting to Montana for our office. And I was just on it all the time. And that's when my drinking was at its worst. By the way, that is not a victim thing. That's not saying roofing did that. I made every single one of those choices, but I made a series of crappy choices. And those choices I chose work over everything else. I let all of my relationships go because I was either working or too tired to go do anything. I shouldn't say all. It might be a little dramatic, but you probably get the idea. Like, I didn't see people because I was working. I drank every single night, and I would justify drinking to fall asleep. I didn't work out because I was too tired from work or too drunk in the evenings, and then felt like shit in the mornings. So all of the things that I was seeking to create escapism destroyed any semblance of a possibility of having balance. So first, I just want to share that story, that I'm like not a saint, and I can't sit here being like, look, man, I got it all figured out. Come do like I do. No, I'm not that guy. I can't. There's other things I can, but not this thing. What I can say is I think it was Dan Sullivan in one of his books. It might've been, I could be misquoting, that he said that there's no such thing in life as balance. No, Gary Keller from the book, The One Thing. Wrong attribution. So there's no such thing in life as balance, because when you're at work, you're not with your family. When you're with your family, you're not at work, and you should be present with where you are. So life is a series of counterbalances. And in this business, we have seasonality where it can be a little lower in busyness to then like you're working the minute your eyes open till the minute you go to bed. And we need to create systems for us to stay sane through the difficult times. I'll share a few that have worked for me. Again, I'm not a saint. Number one, you have to pre-schedule your trips, because otherwise you end up filling every single minute with work, and then there's no time for anything else. And I would always be afraid of commitment or a trip or even a weekend off with my wife going to see a buddy, that it just wouldn't happen. And I'd push it and I'd push it and I'd push it. So now, and I do practice this to this day, I pre-schedule all of my personal things. You got to have a life. I know that we live in hustle culture and there's some truth to it, but you have to have some sanity. So pre-scheduling out your trips so they actually happen, and then you build work around that. And that's been a big mindset shift. So the things that you need to do to take care of yourself need to be scheduled first, and then fit work around it, which is going to be the opposite advice of a lot of other people that tell you you should be working or you're a giant pussy, right? Work every minute of every day or you're worth nothing and you're a piece of shit. That's just not my style. I think that we need to refuel. The other thing is being cognizant of the fact that drugs and alcohol are prevalent more than normal in our industry. And I think I've never seen it go well for people. I've only seen it progressively get worse. And you just have to be prepared to ride the wave of it's crazy busy to it's not busy. And if you can find the things that help you recharge your batteries and make those a commitment to yourself or others, like I'm going to be with my kids when I put them to sleep. I'm going to work out first thing in the morning, or I have an appointment with myself at the gym at 4:00 or whatever the time is for you with your schedule. 4:00 if you're going on, can be a horrible time to go to the gym, but you get the idea. You have to set those as a priority to take care of yourself, because this industry, maybe that's one reason addicts fall into it, because this is the most addicting business ever. The more you put into it, the more you get out, and you just got to be careful of not getting in over your head.
Yeah, for sure. No, great answer. Because I was going to actually ask you how you blend, your work-life blend. I don't necessarily call it balance, because I've learned over the years, I just kind of have learned to blend it. And fortunately, my family has allowed me to blend them in the business along with us. But so since you all but answered that question, before we get off here, because I know we have a hard stop. I usually like to ask this question. It's usually selfish. So in the morning, I talk briefly a little bit. I read a couple books before I go outside, and you already touched on the work-life balance stuff like that. So you can actually throw this in there a little bit. Mm-hmm. Because you were talking about how you recharge your batteries and stuff like that, so you don't get burnt out. And I think that plays a huge role in not getting burnout too, of having that intentional time with your family. I think for me, that's how I relax. I'm with my family, and I'm very intentional about that time when I'm with my family, whether it's fishing or we're wherever we are doing whatever it is that we're doing. I try to be super duper intentional. And this past weekend, I got to spend some time with my family, and I feel very rejuvenated. Come Monday was my birthday. I came back to work on Monday. I got what I needed. I'm back. I'm ready. I know it's just another day. And I too, of that hustle culture, I grew up in that. But what do you do in the morning? Is there a certain ritual? You get up before everybody and you have your cup of coffee before the noise. But what do you do to put that armor on so you can go out and be amongst the human beings out in the world?
Yeah.
Is there something that you've done over the years, something you currently started to implement into your routine? What is that?
Man, I am, what I love doing is getting obsessed with something and trying that. And then I change it and I see what I like. So over the years, I've done everything from waking up and meditating first thing. I don't like that, so I don't do it anymore. I did it for many years. And then I got in a routine of journaling first thing in the morning. And that was fun, but I felt like it was forced. I don't like doing things that I feel like I should do. I do them because I want to do them and they fuel me. Then I did a routine for many years, which I did videos about. I woke up, first thing I did, go for a run. And now I got into calisthenics. I'm nerding out on that. But anyway, so my current routine is more about fueling my biggest shift lately has been focused on my morning for my mental health. So the way that I spend my morning, I wake up, I don't set an alarm. I used to do the wake up super early and crush the day out. And then what I end up finding is then I get obsessed and I'll work for God knows how long. And it wasn't good for me in many ways. So I wake up naturally, and that's generally between 5:30 and 6. I do some deep breathing work, and then I make a cup of coffee, which I stopped caffeine for a while to help get a lot of the reasons I got sober and anxiety under control. Now that I do, I'm like, oh gosh, I love coffee. So 1 cup a day. But anyway, so I go out on my back deck and I get some sun, and I bring my journal out there and I put something in my brain. So I drink my coffee, and then I nourish my brain with either some daily motivation, or like the mastermind I'm part of, Genius Network. I log into their portal and I consume things that fuel my excitement for the day. And then I just sit, like this morning, for example. It's funny. I normally never take pictures. I'm terrible at this. But like, I'm sitting out on my deck, and like, I came out there because this was a sunrise. I know it's probably going to show up terribly, but like, how amazing. I'm sitting out there having a cup of coffee, looking at the sunrise over the mountains, and reading, learning about ADD and understanding myself, and journaling. And then I make breakfast and start my day. So it's not really like magic sauce, but it works.
No, and it really isn't. You know what I mean? I think I heard the first time I ever heard, stacking wins and stuff like that was, I can't remember. It was either a book I read or Mike Claudio talks about win fast, win often. And I kind of just started running with this, stacking wins as soon as I wake up. And as simple as it might sound, is I feel like the first win of the day or morning is me just opening my eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it is.
Yep. I'm able to open my eyes. I can put my feet on the floor, and I'm taking a sober breath. Right. So right there, I've just stacked 3 wins right out of the gate. You know what I mean? Yep. And I try to be super intentional and grateful. Like, just keep it simple, stupid, right? Like, just be grateful for the things that I take for granted. And by me being able to just open my eyes today and know where I'm at and be aware of what happened the night before, dude, that in itself is a victory.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think about that as soon as I wake up, like, wow, this is great. Thank you for another opportunity to go out here and have an impact on people's lives. So I do that. I let the dogs out. I come back in. I read my daily affirmation books. Last school year, I started to spend 15, 20, 30 minutes of intentional time with Rocket before he's our youngest. And I kind of missed out on our first 2 children's, football games, basketball games, first days of school, because I'm of that hustle culture that we're in right now. And I thought I was doing the right thing by killing myself at work and providing school shoes and clothes and school lunches and shit like that for them. But this time, this past school year, again, and I too stopped using the alarm clock, and I wake up naturally too. Thank goodness it's early enough. But I started to spend about 15 minutes in the morning with Rocket, and we're not talking about anything very specific. It's just that 15-minute of Dad and Rocket time to just chill. What did you guys work on school? Because he started in Votech last year. So of course I'm very interested in, like, what are you guys working on? What are you doing? What are they teaching you? And in hopes that maybe he's learning something that I didn't or have learned over the years, and that I can give him some pointers on. Or anything like that. But today was his first day of school. And of course, we both got up like probably 45 minutes earlier, because I was just as excited as he was, I'm sure. So I got up but 45 minutes too early. So we got to spend probably 45 minutes to an hour with each other this morning. And then, Jana was there, and her dad's up from Florida, and we're all 4 out there, and we're taking pictures and stuff like that. But like, that in itself right there would have to be something totally devastating that would have to happen today to bring me down off of that. Like, I am the wealthiest man in this building, in this county, in this state, in this country right now, because of that time I got to spend with my son this morning. That is when I feel my most successful, that I was able to wake up, be present with him. And now I can take on the day of whatever challenges may be thrown at me. So anyhow, I know you got to get off here. Is there any last little nugget that you want to leave with those sales men and women out there today, or it can be something personal too?
Yeah. First is thank you for spending the time. If you want more, go to adamsfreestuff.com, adamsfreestuff.com. And I got a whole bunch of goodies in there. I actually just decided to give away my book for free. So it's not a print version, but digital version. I'm removing the financial barrier for anybody. So that's in there. And every day you get out to go to work, just remember why you're doing it.
Amen to that. Amen.
Yeah.
Adam, Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for spreading the wealth of knowledge with all our guests, our viewers, our listeners. If you haven't yet, please like, love, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Facebook, Spotify, Google, all that good stuff. Check us out. Check us out next week. It'll be at the same bad time, same bat channel. Until then, you guys stay safe and take care of each other. We will see you next Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you for joining us.